Well, hello, internet land. I'm making some leather sheaths. Figured I'd let you watch. This one is going to be my quilted design. The inspiration for this came out of, it's kind of an amalgamation of several sheaths from the book Knives and Scabbards by the Museum of London. Help kind of getting back to my Anglo-Saxon roots and taking that as inspiration. So yeah, these are honestly, they have a cool look to them, but they're really pretty simple to do. So I'm gonna show you how I do that. The best trick, and it's almost all swivel knife and transparent fabric ruler work. So what I usually do is I start at the corner on the front of the sheath. I want this to have a diamond kind of pattern. I'm going to make squares on the front of this one, and I want them to be about a half inch square. So starting in that corner, I use the swivel knife, and I'm careful not to overshoot. I just go from my stitch mark to stitch mark and make a line. Then I make sure that I remember which line I line up with, and every time I line it up with the same line on my fabric ruler so that it's even. Sometimes the light can play little tricks on you. When you use the straight edge, you want to make sure you angle the twist the knife to where it will ride against the edge of the ruler instead of wandering. If it wanders, ruins the pattern. This pattern is really a one shot. There's no going back. There's no redos. It's you either get it right the first time or you start over. But I kind of like that. So I go one direction. No bad boy band jokes there. I go one direction, then I turn around, go the entire rest of the direction the other way, and fill up the sheath with lines. I really prefer to do this with daylight coming into my shop. It's easier for me to see what's going on, but tonight I happen to be doing this without daylight. So there. So once I've got an entire lined surface, then I'm going to come back. These rulers have marks in 90 degrees, so it makes it nice and easy to line up. Oh, you want to make sure that you make your marks with the swivel knife. You want to make sure that you make them evenly. Even pressure. You don't want to make some deep, some shallow. You want to do them all the same. So as much as possible. Once again, I'm just eyeballing this to line it up. And I'm just going to follow my design gauge right on up the sheath. Make sure you always go to the same gauge line. If you go to a different one, it messes up the entire pattern. And you get to start again, which sucketh exceedingly. Okay, so you can see that's starting to make that crosshatch pattern. I'm gonna just simply reverse and go the other way. I used to avoid the leather work, and I would get my sheaths from a friend, but they were never quite, I would just kind of buy the sheaths that they already made that I figured would be close, and they were never a great fit for my knives because they weren't designed for my knives, they were designed for a friend's knives. So she retired, and it kind of forced me into figuring out how to do this style of leather work. I've done leather work most of my all of my adult life, but I had never really done top grain Western style leather work. So this forced me into learning and growing, which is always kind of nice. And okay, once I have my diamond pattern on there, then I want to add these stamps. And you can use any kind of stamp to go in the middle of all of the crosses, but you want to make sure, oh, I'm -1 here. There it is. I use a whole flower and a half flower. They're tiny, so you can't really see them, but they're like an 1/8 inch in diameter. But one of them is ground off halfway so that I can catch all of the edge. Anywhere where a point meets on the edge, I can't get a full flower on there, but I still want a stamp. So this allows me to put a half flower on all of those and make the design finished. So I don't always start that way, but this one I am. And go around and hit these everywhere a point comes right up against the border. That should do it. Now, it's monotonous, but I gotta make sure my light is right, because it'll play tricks with me. And as far as my personal aesthetic goes, this is actually my favorite sheath design, or sheath decoration. I enjoy making quite a few small knives, and I like using small knives for outdoor work, for gathering, for dressing game, for anything deer sized, sheep size, goat size, and smaller. I really only like a 3-inch blade or smaller. And I can get all the work done with that. And I like to carry the knife around my neck, because it's easier to find your sheath when you need your hands free. So you see how that's going. Adds that little finishing touch. Sets that pattern off quite well. And it looks really good once you get the leather dye on there. This pattern goes back many, many hundreds of years. I I think they likely just used a strip of wood or hard leather or rawhide or something, or a strip of metal to be able to mark theirs out, because I don't think they had plastic transparent fabric rulers around King Alfred's time. Okay, there we go. That was fairly quick, but effective. Hey, there's some light. And once again, we will bend the sheath so that it takes that set while it's drying. There we go. Nothing magical. Thanks for tuning in.